Hello everyone, my name is Neville Smith. I'm the Teaching Director of Eve University. I want to thank all of you for joining us today on this open fleet for miners out of the Altrad system, Eve University's headquarters. It's our intention to make these kinds of fleets a regular occurrence, a standing fleet if you will, at least weekly, except during wartime. Of course we have to be a little bit more restrictive. Our mining community is one that's been, pretty interested group and wanting to grow and thrive and have more experiences. So offering fleets like this is a way to help develop our skills. But we do have a group inside Eve University that's been focused on helping miners to have more fun out there, to learn to mine more effectively, a great social group, but also interested in developing their skills and providing more resources for aspiring miners, and that's the Amarr Mining Campus. I'm very pleased to have here as our lecturer today, Vger Starseed, who's one of the original founders and the leaders of the AMC, and he's here to tell us a little bit more about that particular group and why, if you are interested in learning all about mining, you might want to consider joining that group. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to you, Vger.
Good day to you all, gentlemen. My name is Vger Starseed. Welcome to this class on the AMC. I am one of the creators of the E-UNI event known as the Amarr Mining Campus, along with two other characters who were named Ubermensch Victus and Saranti O'Leary. Both of these characters have since gone on to the things. Normally at this point I would ask you to please ensure that you're docked up and you're in the E-UNI chat channel. However, on this occasion, as we're doing it whilst in fleet, what I would like to suggest is if there is anything important of a fleet nature, whilst the lecture is being given, please give the normal break, and I will hold still the lecture while you pass your message. During the introduction, I request that your mumble comms be kept clear other than that, and set push to talk only. Please do not interrupt the lecture for questions, as I will allow time at the end of the class for a Q&A session. This class is designed as an introduction to the Amarr Mining Campus, and the aim of the class is to give you a brief insight into our campus. Over approximately the next 60 minutes, we're going to be covering a number of topics during the introduction. These topics will include the purpose of the camp, the history of the AMC, the choice of location, the first few months, the corporate hangars, the setup of the separate corporate wallet, the services offered by the AMC, how to find us, a look to the future, new and altered mining ships, the AMC staff, and a quick testimonial from one of our previous members. As noted, this will be followed by a question and answer session. And you'll excuse me for getting me tongue-tied. The purpose of the camp. The original idea for the AMC was to find a safe place for a bunch of low-skilled uni miners to make some ISK, working a worthwhile ore. The Amarr and Amarr systems provide a ready supply of pyroxes, feldspar, and scordite. The pyro, as mentioned, seems to be more valuable than all the other high-sec ores. Excuse me, gents, I think I've jumped a bit here. No, I haven't. We rearranged it. My mistake. After 2 weeks of mining in Amarr and Amarr space, we changed our long-term goal to be one of teaching the new uni miners to mine effectively and to empower them with the confidence to run their own fleets, as well as to help them line their pockets with ISK. It has always been my intention to have the AMC as part of the uni training program, and whilst I've been offered ISK and resources to help set up my own mining corporation for profit, I felt it more worthwhile to the new miners in the uni to have a camp or campus, as we are now known, dedicated to the purpose of teaching and helping newer players. The history of the AMC. The mining camp was started for a few reasons. The main one being we wanted to mine pyroxenes, as this was the most valuable high-sec ore and not available in Minmatar space. Added to this, the E-UNI had just had a war with the Blue Federation and the Red Republic, and we were locked in station for a week. With a taste of freedom came a trip to the Aldrat backwoods. Under the guidance of Genlu and Harbacko, which is just down the road from where we are now, got a pounding as is normal. But we were looking for something more productive and decided to stage the next operation out of a system called Tollus. This was Plan A. We knew there was a large concentration of belts there with +5 and +10 ore, as well as it being a fairly quiet area. However, on scouting the system, it was found to have a full-blown incursion in effect, rendering the systems around Tollus too dangerous for mining fleets. Plan B then became Plan A, and we moved down to Amarr space on the 3rd of March 2012, and the AMC was born. After a fair amount of time in Amarr space, we relocated to Solitude with the purpose of helping set up Keldam's project, Solitude. We did have offices there whilst trying to raise awareness of Keldam's project by setting up and using our mining and industrial skills to assist in creating a hub in the region. We have since left the region due to having a few months of logistical nightmares. We then relocated back to Empire space and into the Heimatar region, only to find ourselves under permanent war deck. CCP had at the time changed the war deck mechanic with the introduction of the Inferno patch. Due to this, we lost the protection of the E-UNI's war deck shield, and this led to the AMC being closed and inactive for long periods of time. Another move followed, with the freighting of all of the AMC's assets to an undisclosed system that we now call home. Whilst the area is not exclusive to us, we are doing well with a good membership and enough ore to keep us busy. The choice of location. Now, the original choice of system was important, as we needed to be far away from a few things like low sec space. Good afternoon, Zyle. Please feel free to sit and listen to the class. There is a link for the fleet in the Alliance. And beg your pardon, gentlemen. The constellation we chose was blessed with all of these attributes and a 50% station for the ore refining. There was a total of 59 belts within one jump of the camp. We have mirrored this with a new system choice, and we are a safe distance from trade hub activity, but close enough if we need anything bought. Within the operational range of the AMC's buyback program, there is a total of 252 ore belts containing an assortment of +5 and +10 asteroids. Furthermore, the buyback also covers a single ice belt in which the miners can try out new skills and techniques. The first month. During the first month, we set up home and started mining the belts around the local systems, running regular ops, with up to 32 characters in a fleet. Our miners earned a combined total of 10.8 billion ISK. Narkal Nito supported the AMC by providing us with a customer to sell the ore to. He refined and hauled it away to use for his own purposes. Without Narkal's patronage, we would have had a hard time paying for the miners in a timely manner, since we didn't have perfect refined skills, nor a freighter to haul the ore or the minerals to market on a daily basis. During the first month, we also ran a few competitions, and these were as follows. A fleet lottery. The lottery was run after every fleet, using a random person or choosing a random person from the mining fleet to win a T2 module of their choice from a list of 8 items. A cruiser and hauler competition. This competition awarded 3 cruiser pilots and 1 hauler for participating the most hours during the 12th to the 19th of March period. A petition contest. This competition awarded 3 miners for participating the most hours in the AMC mining fleets from the 3rd of March until the 3rd of April 2012. And a Fleet Commander contest. The Fleet Commander competition rewarded top 3 fleet commanders that earned the most ISK per hour. Whilst we still run the fleet lottery, we are hoping in the future to run more contests of this type. Onto the corporation hangars. During the initial 2 weeks of running the camp, we realized that having access to corporation hangars would benefit our miners by allowing them to have easy access to T1 modules and mining ships, up to the size of a retriever. We have been both lucky and very grateful to the E-UNI and to Asmodeus Vger for setting up the various offices that we use. The setup of separate corporate wallet. Following a suggestion from a E-UNI director, and with the goal of reducing the strain on the E-UNI resources, we set up an alt holding corporation for the camp wallet. This allows us to keep the monies from the camp separate from our personal wallets and enables us transparent in the running of the camp, with the E-UNI having a key to the wallet themselves. I will hold the lecture here for a couple of seconds to make sure that the fleet is okay.
Yep, we seem to be fine, Vger. Keep going.
And this is coming over okay?
Loud and clear.
Thank you. Moving on to the services offered. Training, fitting guidance, and a fleet participation from mining frigates up to Hulk and Orca. Including any hauling pilot who wants to participate. We accept players from all skill levels, as any mining fleet does. Training. Please don't be offended. Are you noob, newbie, or new? We have all been there, and surprise, surprise, it is you we wish to encourage. You are welcome to turn up here in your noob ship, your venture, or barge. You have one. We will help you get the maximum ISK out of them and direct you to some very profitable fleets. This in turn will allow you to progress towards better mining ships and equipment. Eventually it will help you to help the new miners. No, beg your pardon. Eventually it will be you helping the new miners and leading the operations. There is no commitment other than a wish to learn and to make ISK. When you decide it is time to move on to other things, you can do so with our best wishes. Loan or gift or purchase of ships through the AMC. Some of you will think that the AMC is a separate corp. The answer to that is no. The AMC is a camp run by and for E-UNI members and complements the services already run by the E-UNI. The E-UNI runs a loaner fleet of mining and hauling vessels up at the E-UNI headquarters. Now I've got in my notes here to please contact Asmodeus Vger, but that has changed, and the person you will need to contact to access them services up the E-UNI headquarters would be Cartilage Deninard, and I will link his name later along with the wiki page link. We complement that service ourselves by doing the same at the AMC for smaller vessels, and we can also supply barges and exhumers for the same price that they go in the jitter market, and you don't have to haul them. We also provide T1 modules, except rigs due to the expense, for the E-UNI mining community at this location. Mining fleets. Whilst with the AMC, you may solo mine or you may mine with the fleet. We offer you both a BYOC, bring your own can, and a shared can option. And these can be either player boosted or orca boosted. Again, I've got 2 links here that I'd like to post you, but I will do that after the lecture, because I don't want to disturb you from either listening to myself or from your mining. Now the Orca. The Orca is the king of high-sec boosting, and properly fit it can provide amazing boosts by a fleet. This ship can be used in two ways. That is, either jet can mine and the ship tractors the ore into its base with the extended range tractor beams that it has, or it can be used as a giant jet can and the mining ships stay within 250 kilometers of the Orca and drop the ore directly into its hangars. We use this technique when can flippers harass the fleets, as it means we don't have any cans lying around in space. Frequency. Fleets within the AMC now normally would run on a 24/7 basis. However, of late that hasn't been the case, and we are hoping to get that back up to scratch. And all players are welcome to fleet up and run their own. The fleets can be anything from 2 to 3 ships up to an insane number of miners, haulers and boosts. Just take a look around you at the moment and gaze at all the lasers that you've got going down on them rocks. This sort of thing is regular. Mining spreadsheet. We use a mining spreadsheet that was originally created or designed by Scrapyard Bob and further modified to our needs by Cartilage Denenard. This is used to track the number of participants in a fleet and the amount mined by fleet and the amount of man-hours each miner has put in during the op. This allows for a fair, full share payment for the time worked. Now, I'll add to this a bit because over the years we have had quite a few people suggest that it should be size of ship per payment. We've refused to change from the principle of a fair share for anybody, regardless what they turn up in, because we are a training camp and not a pure risk-making camp. So if you turn up in your venture, you will get paid the same as the guy that's out there in his Hulk. The reason for this is to encourage you to participate in the fleets and to encourage you to eventually get up to the standard that the Hulk pilot is at and to be able to mine as efficiently as he can. Mineral buyback program. Since NARCL was only able to buy the ore and minerals from the AMC for the first month, we decided to set up our own refining and freighting service for the AMC miners. We buy the ore or minerals at a slightly reduced price so the fleet commanders can pay the miners very quickly and not have to worry about refining it, hauling or selling it on the market. The details of the buyback program can be found at the Amarr wiki page, and again this link will be passed to you later. And there is another spreadsheet produced by Rose Chalin that tracks the market price of the minerals and automatically adjusts the buyback price on the sheet for the AMC HQ and AMC Aldrat. Refining. We hold a list of refiners should the miners or fleet commanders just wish a refining service. Refining service is normally free of charge. Hangar access. The AMC maintains 2 sets of hangars for its members. These are E-UNI hangars. So if you have alpha access, you can use the alpha hangars, and they are designed for freshman students as an easily accessible source of a selection of useful T1 modules, ships, and mining crystals. We have a Theta hangar. These are available to sophomore students, where a variety of slightly more expensive modules and ships are made freely available. Now the biggie. How to find us. You're welcome to join the Amarr Mining Campus chat channel. This is open to everybody within the university, and there you will find a link for our recruitment form, along with other information to help you get an idea of what goes on within the AMC. Please bear in mind that the campus requires that you have freshman status before joining us. If I'm not mistaken, I think that's about 5 days, Neville?
Just checking on that. Yes, that is correct.
So you need to be in the uni for 5 days before you can actually apply to join the AMC. A look to the future. Since the conception of the Amarr Mining Campus chat channel, no, 1 second, I've misread. Since the conception of the Amarr Mining Campus a couple of years back, we have watched the interest grow as more and more miners populate our neck of the woods. We have become a growing community of like-minded EVE University members with a shared sense of belonging to the AMC, while still being included in the uni and participating in the other campuses and classes. Aside from just mining, the Amarr Mining Campus also has many members who run missions, both solo and in fleet, to help increase standings with neighbouring corporations, thereby reducing taxes and improving refining efficiency. Future consolidation will focus on the strengthening of the campus, a place where uni miners could come to perfect both their solo and fleet mining skills as part of the E-UNI, and then move on to other things within the uni. We foresee campus members participating in the instruction of newer players with information discussions, whilst in fleet, and the passing on of knowledge in formal classes. This will also include the use of the free AMC Mumble channels as an effective teaching tool. We would like to promote closer ties with other uni campuses with regard to mining and training in low and null security space, along with wormhole mining operations. I'd like to add at this point that we have done all three, and we would like to do them again. New unaltered ships. There have been changes to the mining vessels that we use since the Inferno patch. These included the loss of racial mining frigates and cruisers, which have been redesignated as fighting vessels, and the introduction of the new ore mining frigate, the Vger. There was also a rebalancing of the mining barges and exhumers, which changed the way that they were used slightly. And I will post you another link at the end of the class for you to have a browse of. AMC staff are as follows: myself, Vger Starseed, co-founder, coordinator, hangar security, and uni teaching liaison within the AMC camp. Cartilage Denenard, coordinator for AMC, and Bruce Industries, the holding company, responsible for hangars, wallet, and E-UNI mining liaison. He is also the guy you go to see about your freighter production and your loaner ships. Rose Chanlin, officer, wormhole campus liaison, and personnel manager for the uni. Pale Peril, hangar officer. Urban Oxide, this is your recruiting officer, guys. Please feel free to keep him busy. Cornelius Agrippa, hangar and AMC campus human relations officer. This is a guy that checks up on what you lot are doing and lets me know. And he is also one of our teachers. Johnson Randier, hangar officer. And we have recently had the pleasure of adding Neville Smith to the campus officers list as E-UNI Director Liaison, Teaching Liaison, and just a general fun guy to be with. He also has a large paddle to mine with, and you'll see what I mean when you check his stats out on his wiki page. Some of these officers have good standing with other corporations that we deal with, and as such can help with refining. All camp staff can offer assistance or advice in getting newer ships and items delivered to the new camp, whether this be actually helping you to freight them down personally, or for a price, or for pointing you in the right direction of somebody who can. I have one testimonial to read out from one of our previous members, who I don't think is with us anymore. And it goes on to say, and what's more, so that there was an active community of folks who were doing the things I have always loved best about MMOs. Resource gathering, some general industry stuff, and being very social with one another. It was attractive. You welcomed me in some random ship with a horrible fit and paid a full share. That said volumes about character, integrity, and just plain niceness. I would like to extend that character, integrity, and plain niceness of both myself and all of the AMC officers to every single person that's listening to this class. I will now hand the class over to a question and answer session, and my fellow officers that are with me in chat, please feel free to answer some of the questions. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you, Vger. That was great. If you do have any questions, feel free to either speak up in chat in Mumble here, or you can type them in the fleet channel. If you're not in the fleet, you're going to have to probably just speak up in Mumble.
And if you have any comments on how the class should be run or anything else you'd like to see included in it, please feel free to drop me an email.
Hi, Greg. This is Bill Azudel. I've been with the mining campus now for about 6 weeks. I showed up in my Coveter, and within 3 weeks, I guess, I was in a Hulk. Had bought it, but I couldn't fly it because I still had some training to do. All of the fleets I've been in, the shared can fleets, we tend to make between 10 and 13 million an hour, something like that, and they are very fun to go to. A lot of camaraderie. I've enjoyed every minute of it, and if you enjoy mining and resource gathering, that type of thing, I'm sure you'll enjoy it also.
Vger, this is Neville. Do you know how many members there are in the AMC currently?
At the last count, when we did the last count, I believe we had over 200. We actually had to have a purge to remove some of the older members who'd gone on to various other corporations within EVE.
That's a pretty big number. And also, what's your policy, and you may have covered this, but I forget, what's your policy about having alt characters join in AMC activities and fleets?
As long as it's an alt that we recognize and the person can vouch for the alt, personally in Channel, we don't normally have a problem with the alts being in. If the alt's out on their own, though, it does prove to be a little bit difficult because, as I've mentioned before, it is a training campus and we prefer to have the AMC/E-UNI member present while the alt is present. However, saying that, we do get some people come out as an alt booster. You can't really turn them away when the fleet wants to run. The other thing is, and I've got to cover this, during wartime, we are in a situation where we don't get a lot of bother. When we do, the campus, as a rule, just docks up and stays docked up until whoever's come to look for some fun with us has gone and looked for fun elsewhere. Anybody that comes and joins us, if you're told to dock up, don't hang about, get yourself in a station and stay there until the trouble has gone away. If we give them fun, or we give them grief in the mumble, or whatever the case may be, they're going to hang around. If you dock up and don't give them any enjoyment, they'll go and find it somewhere else.
Vger, you may not have seen the question that Naomi Belacqua asks here in chat. I'll read it. How much of a disruption was the retirement of the mining frigates and cruisers, and how did you have to change your mining tactics with the rebalancing that went along with those changes?
First of all, it made a big difference to the AMC in the way that we run, primarily because we were used to bringing people down there in a frigate that wasn't much more than a shuttle or a noob frigate. Very limited yield on them. We'd max them out. We'd progress them up through the skills that they needed to move on to the cruisers. We'd do the same with the cruisers. And then eventually, while they were using the cruisers and gaining enough money to purchase their first retriever, we would help them out on the fleets to help them get the money to do that. And with the competitions we were running as well, we were also giving away a few of the retrievers. This was curtailed with the changes of the ships, because first of all, the ship changes favoured the logistics role for the vessels that we were using. And these vessels were retaxed, which meant most of them had, if you were lucky, one slot that you could use for mining laser mounting. So it severely cut down on what you could actually use them for. They brought out the new Vger, which, to be honest, is quite a nice ship, and is a pretty hardy ship, considering it is only a frigate. The biggest changes, I think, came with the changes to the retriever, the coveter, what's the single lasered one? The procurer. When they changed them, they tasked them different. Before, it was always a yield-based thing where you started off in your procurer and worked your way up to your hulk. And the higher up you got, the more yield you got, and the better you could do. Now, the way they've done it is the ships are tasked to different roles. So your procurer carries the heaviest tank on it, making it an ideal ship if you want to go and play in low sec or with a wormhole campus. And she's pretty nippy. The retriever, she's got your best all-round cargo space now, which means that you can carry more in the retriever's ore bay than you can in an actual jet can, which makes it brilliant for mining solo. You can go out into the belt, mine over a can's worth, take a couple of minutes to go back to station, and then you're back in belt, so you don't really lose a great deal. The Hulk, then, is a totally different bird. She's got a very small cargo space, or very small ore hold. And the best way to use both the Hulk or the Coveter, which is this T1 derivative, is to use them as a fleet vessel and to jet can with an orca in situ to actually pull the cans in. And they're the biggest changes that we've seen. You're getting people coming in now, they're going straight into the Venture, and they'll hold the Venture until they get the retriever status. And retriever status nowadays doesn't take nearly as long as it used to.
We have a question here from Urban Oxide. I think he's looking for, some reaffirmation and love. Vger, who is your favorite officer currently?
Cornelius, his missus.
All right, Galen Talaz asks, when doing low or nullsec or wormhole ops, do you utilize the other campuses, the low-sec, nullsec, or wormhole campus for combat support or safety? Have you ever done that, or do you do that on a regular basis?
It hasn't been so much a regular basis. It's been kind of an incursion into their territory, so to speak. The wormhole campus hop that we run was courtesy of the gentleman who was running the wormhole campus at the time. I can't recall his name. I'm sure somebody else can pull the campus's mining guy up. Basically, we went down there. They'd set up a bunch of containers out in the middle of nowhere, and we were mining the belt and taking the ore back to the containers, because access to the posses down there is difficult because of the way they got them set up. So we just dumped them in the container. They kept a list of who was there and paid us after the operation. Extremely interesting. I'd never been in a wormhole up to that point, and I found it quite fun. And as normal with an AMC fleet, you go along and have a laugh anyway. You have a laugh and a joke, but you do remember that you are in a fleet. You've got to work with the other guys. And although the camaraderie's there, you try and make it organized camaraderie. With the low-sec campus, no, the null-sec campus, that was an extremely interesting one. A bunch of us had gone down there to do an operation that was set up by one of the other members of the AMC. He has since moved on to other things. And he'd set bookmarks up both above and below the belts. And you warped in at either center, middle, or left of the belt, and then chose a set of bookmarks to correspond with your position on the belt. And using procurers, you just went gently up and down between the two bookmarks that you'd placed. As soon as you got out of range on the top side, you turn your ship round and gently move down to the bottom one. Now, the bookmarks were placed far enough away from the belt that should you get hit, all you had to do was press your warp button and you'd be gone. So you could mine, but you had a margin of safety there that you could get out reasonably quick. Apparently, before I managed to get down there and do mining with them, the fleet got bounced and they lost a few ships. I went down the following evening and took over, and we were halfway through the mining operation and they warped a combat fleet right in on top of us. I am extremely pleased to say that out of a small fleet of mining vessels, I think we had about 10 people involved, not one person lost his ship because of the discipline that the guys maintained while they were doing it, even though they were having fun while they were doing it as well.
We have a couple of questions from Nathan Miakis. First of all, you mentioned something about coveters being good for something. If you could repeat what you said there. He uses the retriever for solo mining. And the second question is, can you go over the fleet mining politeness things? You forgot the name of what you said there, so if you could repeat those two things, that'd be great.
Right, I'll deal with them one at a time, and I'll probably have to ask you what the second one was again. I'll go through the three sets of ships as standard. You've got the retriever, which becomes the Mackinac Tech 2. You've got the coveter, which becomes the Hulk Tech 2. And you've got the smaller one, which is the procurer, which becomes the Skipper Tech 2. The smaller vessel with the one laser is the procurer or Tech 2 skiff. That has the highest tanking ability and can take the heaviest amount of hits out of all of the mining vessels. This is your best vessel to do things like your nullsec and your wormhole mining in. The retriever Mackinac-sized vessels, they have the largest cargo capacity. They mount 2 lasers, and they are the best for solo mining, where you bounce the belt and the station. The coveter Hulk combination, which is your largest of your ore mining vessels, they are the ones with the smaller cargo capacity, the best yield, but the smallest cargo space, as I said. And with that one, you have got to jet can, because to travel back and forth the station would just take you too long. That vessel is best used in a fleet, because rather than having a second person running back and forth hauling the stuff for you, you have an orca in situ. He has a long-range tractor beam on him. He can pull the cans that you have filled back into his vessel and store them in the holds. That way you haven't got cans lying around all over space. Doing it this way, you normally run the op as what is called a shared can operation, which means that everybody participates. You all get an equal share in the op, and all the ore is refined into minerals and split evenly between everybody that has participated. And the second question was?
The second question was about the mining politeness. I think you're referring to etiquette. Is that a defined set of rules? If you can go over that briefly again, that would be good.
Mining etiquette. There's a couple of things I can talk about on this subject. First of all, if you're in a fleet, a couple of the worst things you can ever do is to have a container out and fill it almost to the brim just to have it go pop in front of your eyes. You've lost a little bit of time. You've lost a lot of ore. So, as was suggested in the fleet, we were, or I was participating a couple of seconds ago before starting this class, Mark your containers. If you're flying solo and you need to put containers out, mark them with a timestamp that you jettison the container, and mark them with the first name of your character that has done the mining. That way, for your own benefit, you know when that container is going to pop, and the limit on it is 2 hours. If you were in a fleet, you would normally mark your container with the word fleet, because once it is filled, it doesn't belong to you, it belongs to the fleet, and the timestamp. So you would have fleet and say 12:30, and you would always mark them in eve time. So you'd have fleet 12:30. The fleet commander would know when the can was made, and when you have filled it, all you do then is, instead of putting fleet 12:30, you put full 12:30. That way then your copilot knows that you filled it, and he can pull it in immediately so that you don't lose any ore, or none of the fleet members lose any ore. Now, the other topic is the topic about etiquette regarding who is shooting at what. Now, there's lots of discussion on this one. I generally tend to think that it is impolite to pop into a belt and start popping somebody else's roid while he is mining it. At the AMC, as I said, we are not exclusive to the area, and whilst we have had some members go along and mine a roid from underneath somebody, it is normally because that somebody is using what they call a bot. They're not at the computer, they just got the computer doing the work for them. In which case, if we know that it's a bot, we will mine the roid from underneath it. However, if there is somebody actively mining in a belt, you do not warp in and start shooting at his roid. In fact, more often than not, if somebody is working a belt, it is always considered polite to move on to the next one. If they are working in a fleet together, then what you try not to do is hit the same asteroid as another member of your fleet, for the simple reason that if one of you is mining that asteroid and it is close to popping, another player can end up burning a whole cycle on it and getting nothing back for that cycle, thereby wasting both his time, your time, and both of your risk. So if you warp in the belt, there's a miner not of your corp in there mining, leave him alone, move on to the next one. If there's somebody else in there of your corp and you're part of the same fleet, don't shoot his roid, find one of your own. That's the only etiquette that is there.
Very good. Let's see if there are any other questions. I don't think there are any other questions. If anybody has any other ones, feel free to type them in the fleet chat, or you can speak up and mumble.
Hi, this is Joe again. Here, about 3 weeks ago, we got to do something that I'd never done before, which is go gas mining. And that was very interesting. We were all out in ventures that were fitted for gas mining. And I believe the AMC provided the skill books and the ventures for us to go out and do this, and it was very nice.
We do quite often have harebrained ideas, and quite often them harebrained ideas actually become reality, and we find ourselves in places where we often wonder if we should be there in the first place. I can go back to a classic example. We were working out of a place down in Amarr space at the time. It was our first camp after moving out to the university, and we'd moved down to the camp. We decided that we were going to make a go of it, and we were selling everything off locally. Unfortunately for us, without realizing it, we were dumping that much ore on the market that we turned it into a trade hub, and it is still a minor trade hub to this day. There was one occasion there where we were doing mining within mining sites, and it was during a cool-off from a war period, and we were out in this belt, and again it was red versus blue, and there was our group in there. There was one or two individuals that weren't associated with us, but we'd gone out in combat vessels armed with mining lasers, and we were mining the belts, or mining this pocket in grab site. And I was actually boosting it from a Vger with mining links on it. It was quite novel. The guys thought it was a brilliant idea. We thoroughly enjoyed ourselves, right up to the point where red versus blue come in and blew up the people that were mining next to us, and we managed to escape.
Okay, we have another question from somebody I will not mention. It's, what is the Vger feature and why is it called such a thing?
Thank you very much, Cornelius. I'll kick you later. Okay, gents, you might as well all be in on the joke. The Vger feature is a present that CCP gave me for my endeavours into mining. It is the little green button that you see in front of you, right next to your HUD. It is called the Vger feature because we were given it within a week or two of me getting my orca blown up. And the full story behind it is we were mining in a belt, and the fleet had moved on. I'd stayed behind with the orca to clear out the cans and the wrecks. Cans disappear when you empty them, wrecks don't. By this time I'd blued them all to stop somebody coming along and trying to steal them, so that they wouldn't give me a timer, an aggression timer. And once I'd emptied them, without thinking, I targeted my drones on them. The drones went happily about their way, blew up the container, whereupon Concorde warped in and blew up my ship. I didn't realize Concorde had blown up my ship. I saw a couple of flashes of light, and I was sat there looking out through the holes in what is basically a capital ship hull. It was actually quite comical. It was like looking out of windows. I did petition CCP and they said, no, you can't have your ship back. You were the one that caused the problem.
It's important to note that that wasn't any ordinary orca either. What made it so unique, Vger?
It had extra slots on it. It was one of the original orcas.
Oh man, that's painful.
It was
Ouch.
very painful.
It's not painful for us, like, it's quite funny, but for Vger, yeah, it's painful.
That is why my orca is now called the Draig Goch 2, or the Red Dragon 2. The Red Dragon one got blown up.
So they didn't give you your orca back, but they put the little green button in?
They didn't give me the orca, but a week or two later they instituted the safety feature, which my crew now happily termed the Vger feature, and I have never lived it down since.
Okay, any final questions for Vger? Of course, we'll continue the operation and he'll be available, so if you want to ask any additional questions as we go along. But any final questions related to his lecture?
So, how many fruits was the Red Dragon one worth?
How many?
Fruits.
Oh, I'm not sure. I think university should have kicked me all around low-sec after that one.
I've got a question for you, Vger Starseed.
Go for it.
Where do you see the AMC in 5 years from now?
Where do I see the AMC? As a campus that is respected for what it does, a campus that excels in what it does, but never at any point do I see the campus as being separate from the uni. As I mentioned in the lecture, when I first started the venture with both Seranti and Obermensch, a character come along who had a corp that he'd set up. And the corp was doing quite well, but his main was a member of the uni. Now, how he managed to get it that way around, I don't know. But he actually offered me a lot of ISK to port over the operation directly into his corp. And Not even interested. At the time, I'm not interested in now, and I will not be interested in the future. The AMC belongs to the campus members and belongs to the uni. It is part of his teaching foundation. In 5-6 years' time, I'd like to see it being looked back at in the way that the uni is looked back at, and being treated with the respect that it is deserved. And the only way that we can make it so is for the uni members who are part of the AMC or who would like to join the AMC to come down and pay us a visit, get in your ships, get out there, mine, enjoy yourself, and pass the word back. At the end of the day, it's part of the uni, and the uni is what I basically play the game for.
I couldn't agree more, Vger, and that was very well answered.
And on that note, I would like to say also, 5 years from now, it'll still be here, still doing the same thing, still advancing, more members, and hopefully we'll still be all friends at the end of the day.
And
apart from Vger.
I have always maintained, no, please don't take this the wrong way. Morning Maniac set up the uni. When he left and handed it over to other people to run, people he trusted with his baby or his project, and he moves on to do other things. He left it in good, capable hands. If ever I need to leave the AMC or to leave Eve, I also would like to be happy in the knowledge that I have helped to create something that is an integral part of the uni, is something that is valued by its members, but also something that will live on after my character moves on to do something else, or after I maybe lose track of the game in a couple of years' time, who knows. It's not my intention at the moment, but you never know what life throws at you. At the end of the day, when I move on, I'd like the AMC at that time to be an integral part of the uni, and to be classed as the mining campus that the uni was never able to achieve.
Sniff, sniff.
Vger, I wanted to say thanks for founding the AMC, and candidly, the culture of miners, especially in Eve University, is kind of a unique animal, and it's great to have a group that people can belong to. So thank you for your efforts. It's much appreciated. And for those of you who are listening to this that are new to Eve University or haven't done a lot of mining, I could recommend the AMC very highly. It's a good group of people to join, and a lot of fun.
Yep, the AMC would love miners, but more than that, we love personality. So come in, join us, get involved, and share some of our stories.
Personalities? We love you, Nistas. Come and take part in the camp, guys. It is good fun. 2 years in the running. When we first started it, and in all candidness, the uni said it'll never work. To be honest, we didn't think it would. It was just a bunch of guys going out and doing their own thing. We turned our own thing into something that you can all take part in and enjoy. It would give me great pleasure to actually see you claim the benefit of it.
And finally allow Urban to tender his resignation from officer duties.
You got no chance, mate. I got you up for the next 6 years.
I think I will be with the backlog of applications after today.
Even when you give up your officer position, I got a job for you.
Oh dear.
Cartilage's hangar manager. You're to care for the licking of the inside of his cargo containers to make sure there's no excess umber built up on them.
Great.
Okay, so with that, I'm going to declare this lecture officially wrapped up. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording. But again, do you have some final words, Vger?
Just one. Neville, I'd like to thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to actually present the class. I'd like to thank you for your involvement with the AMC and keeping our heads above water on times. And I would like to thank everybody here for taking part in this class, for making me feel good about giving it, and for joining in the fleet that has been offered today. Please feel free to continue in that fleet. Don't just shoot off because you've heard the lecture and it's time to go. Grab yourself a mining vessel and let's turn this event that we got going on at the moment up in Aldrat into something that will knock the socks off any fleet that we've run before. Grab your ships, come out, enjoy yourselves, have a laugh.
Thanks, Vger.
All it takes is a venture.